there's always something that needs a little fixing on Far Point Farms.
Hey guys, it's Eric. Hey, check it out. I've gotten a lot of interest in these last few months asking me to do an update on the truck that I drive nearly every day. This beautiful Volkswagen Rabbit pickup truck. This is a 1980 model. And of course, about a year and a half ago, I did a whole bunch of upgrades to this thing. And I guess I kind of finished that off as the end of the series. What people have been asking me is, how has it been holding up? And the answer is, great. I mean, it's a very reliable daily driver. During this time of year, I drive this nearly every day, going back and forth to get stuff for projects, going back and forth for feed for the animals, stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is take the camera off the tripod. I'll give you a walk around of the truck. Might be a little hard to see right now, but it's actually loaded full of garbage. We're going to the big dump in town, and we're going to drop that off, and then I'm going to go to the hardware store and pick up some lumber. And then we're going to go all the way down off the mountain to a Harbor Freight and pick up a cherry picker. So it's getting a lot of use. Probably put 150 miles on it just today. And I love it, man. I love it. But let's do it. I'm going to bring you along for some of that drive.
All right. Right out of the gate, the first thing that's happened in the last year is you can start to see the paint on the hood, which was done by spray can, I believe, has started to come off in those two places. And it's on my list this summer to go ahead and buff that down a little bit and just put another coat of kind of semi-metallic silver on it. But yeah, that's about the only thing that's gone wrong, I'd say, in the last year. As far as the tires, I don't have the aggressive tires on it right now. I have the summer tires on it. And they've got, about 15,000 miles worth of wear on it since I put those on. Maybe a little bit more now, come to think of it. But they're holding up really well. The alignment's been good on it. Now, this car doesn't have AC. And I'm not going to put air conditioning into this car, but it does have vent windows and it does have the rear slider, so it does pretty well for what I need it for. Today's a particularly hot day, that's why I'm wearing the tank top. And you can see in the back here, I use it as a truck, and that brings me to the first kind of funny story I want to talk about with this truck, and that is that there are a few places that I will go with this thing. And when I go to them, I will inevitably be stopped by somebody who wants to know why I'm driving a vintage automobile and using it for whatever. And those are big box stores. If I go to Lowe's or Home Depot or a Tractor Supply or anything like that and pick up a large amount of feed or a large amount of lumber or whatnot, when I'm loading this thing up, somebody always stops and goes, "Man, what are you doing? That's a classic. You shouldn't be driving that thing like this." But what good is a classic if you don't drive it? And in the case of a classic truck, what good is a classic truck if you don't use it as a truck? So I definitely do. Also in here, you'll see I've got the last 5 bags. That's how many extra bags of concrete from that project we just finished up here. All that work, if you've been following the channel, major renovations to the garage, some gas cans that I'll be filling back up, and a chair and a water heater with a couple of mysterious looking holes in there. Gee, I wonder what could have put holes into those. Anyway, I'm going to be getting rid of that stuff today. And the sign here on the back holds up well. I did add a 1 7/8 hitch so I can use it to tow the new trailer that we picked up. And I haven't made a video of that, but I will. I'm doing some upgrades to it as we speak. So that's something, actually, one of the reasons I'm taking this to go get lumber today is to get the last few pieces to do the upgrades on that trailer. But yeah, man, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'll pop the hood here in a second, but I guess I'll finish the walk around first. Now, I've been messing with these things since 1989 or 88, I think it was, when I first bought one of these. And my first car was a 1980 Volkswagen Rabbit. It was not the pickup, but I've daily driven the pickups, other than a few years, for most of my life. Now, I still have the Mitsubishi Mirage. I do drive that for commuting when I work in town. But like I said, for work, well, this is the only way to go. And here is our engine and engine compartment. If you remember back when I got it, it had that black and sprayed in. I'm not sure what that was, but something Volkswagen did. About half the Volkswagens I owned had that. I didn't like that, so when I had the engine and transmission out, I took that out and painted it silver. And I think it came out pretty darn good, although it was a lot of work. The battery that came with it back in, I guess, 16 is still hanging in there. That's pretty cool. Got the intake was polished up. I did a lot of work cleaning everything up when I installed this thing. The chrome valve cover and timing belt cover looked nice. And the JH code 1.8 that was ported and polished by yours truly, and has the G-grind cam from Tectonics. And it's just doing well. I mean, everything's well. The fan comes on automatically, but I do have an override. It has a cold air intake. The flapper's been replaced, so the air now just comes in straight from the grill, so that's kind of nice. And clutch is holding up. No coolant leaks, no brake booster issues, anything like that. Water pump's not got any problems. So very cool. Really cool. So anything I would have changed if I could have done this again from scratch? I'm going to be honest, man. After putting together many of these over the years, I'm going to say no. Love it, man. The engine has just the right amount of power, just the right amount of pep. The transmission, which was a 4-speed, is a 5-speed now, and it's one of those long throw. It's an economy. It's not one of the GTI 5-speeds. So you can get it up to 75, 80 miles an hour, and the engine RPMs are way down. Where if you try to drive 80 miles an hour with a GTI transmission, man, I think it's screaming. It's like 45, 4,800 RPM. This one here is like 28, 2,900 RPM, so a huge difference. I love that. Fuel mileage on this with the new engine, I get about 31 here in town, and I get about 33 on the highway. Interior's holding up nicely. On the inside, well, things are pretty much the same on the inside. She's got the used look for sure. I reset the odometer when I did the engine, so the mileage is 14,432 since I did the motor swap, and holding up beautifully fine there. Got some switches here for my fog lights and interior lighting in the wintertime when I drive a lot at night, plus the stock lights. There's my fan override switch, and it does automatically turn off with the car, so if I forget to turn it off, I'm not going to run the battery down. Down here, much the same. My little cubby hole is full. I do keep track of my mileage, so I can keep track of my gas mileage. Volts, temperature gauge, of course the President down there. That with that 102 steel whip really gets out and talks. Now I have to excuse the mess. These are returns that are going back to the store that I'm headed to. That there, I keep my rags and my ratchet straps and that. And usually that sits behind the seat, but I took it out because I strapped down all that stuff. Over here, this fell off, but that's actually where I usually keep my little notepad that keeps track of my mileage. And what is that? I'll be installing that this weekend. That is a new fuel gauge because the fuel gauge in this one has started acting weird. I took it out and cleaned it, and that worked well for about a year, and now it's acting squirrely again. So I went ahead, very hard to find these, went ahead and ordered a replacement from overseas, and it has arrived, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. These seat covers were ones that were in the Mirage before I got really nice seat covers in the Mirage. Remember, I got rid of the, what were those called? Those fancy seats. And I put back in stock seats, but they're tan. Eventually I'm going to get a leather, or not a leather kit, but a canvas kit for that to change them back to the right color. I'll make them black, and I'll paint the little stuff down here to match that. But for right now, that's where it's at. E-brake works fine now. I had to do some mods on that. And there's the center console that I got from Slovenia, I think it was. Pretty hard to come by. But yeah, man, I'm happy. I hope you're happy. Let's take this thing for a drive. I'm not going to film the whole ride in, but I'll take you for a spin on this thing and show you what it's like driving a 40-year-old car. Actually, geez, boy, I feel older now. I guess it's a little older than 40 years now, but I'll show you what it's like to drive a 40-year-old car as a daily, a 40-plus-year-old car as a daily, and we'll wrap it up with that. Let's do it.
So what's it like driving a 44-year-old truck around town? It's pretty cool. You get a lot of looks. And you get to live the kind of simple life that I kind of like to live. Well, I'll go ahead and face the camera forward. You guys can take a look at